And let's now welcome Elliot Felig to the show. He's a lawyer with Elliot Felig and Associates, and he joins us here in studio. Elliot, thanks for being with us.
Pleasure.
Elliot, let's start off with a suggestion by the president that this suspect, Saipov, should be sent to a military detention facility in Guantanamo Bay. He was here as a lawful resident,
Right.
so no terrorist has been sent to Gitmo under those circumstances. What would be the legalities involved here?
So the courts have said that even if someone is a U.S. citizen, Michelle, or a legal permanent resident, which is another way of saying green card holder, if they've aligned with a foreign enemy or a foreign terrorist organization like ISIS, legally we can send them to Guantanamo Bay and treat them as an enemy combatant, which is the modern-day equivalent of a prisoner of war. With the war on terror, war doesn't take place on the battlefield, so Guantanamo Bay has become the equivalent of a prisoner of war camp that we had in World War II in Germany or in Japan. So legally, we could do it, notwithstanding that he has the green card. I don't know what we get out of that, though, from a law enforcement perspective.
Well, the fact that he's been charged with providing material support and resources to ISIS, a terrorist group, does that, by nature of the charge, make him an enemy combatant?
Sure. And again, that would give us the right to send him there. But the fact is the federal government has been extraordinarily successful in prosecuting terrorism cases in courtrooms in the United States. And in fact, I understand the president said he doesn't like the delay and he doesn't like the expense. But the fact is that we brought more people to justice successfully in terrorism trials in the United States, in U.S. courtrooms, than in these military tribunals.
So what would be the advantage in terms of wanting to protect the United States, wanting to get more intelligence, with having him sent to Gitmo? Why would that be something that would be preferred in the fight against terror?
Sure. So when someone is an enemy combatant in a POW camp abroad or at Guantanamo Bay, they don't get the full menu of constitutional rights that one gets as a U.S. citizen or one gets on U.S. soil. You get constitutional rights in the U.S. on U.S. soil, even if you're here illegally, for example. So it is true, you don't have the same protections. But in this case, I read the complaint, they chose to Mirandize him, and he chose to sing. Okay, he chose to confess everything, confess his loyalty to ISIS, etc. So while in some cases it may be that if someone is in Guantanamo rather than in the U.S. or in a U.S. Courtroom, that you can get more information out of them. In this case, I don't know that we would have gained anything because he was told he had the right to remain silent. He waived that right. He chose to share all this information anyway.
So at this point, it's really irrelevant.
Well, look, at this point, a first-year law student could probably successfully convict Mr. Saipov. There were hundreds of witnesses. There were hundreds of surveillance cameras. He was caught on the scene. He's given this post-Miranda confession. So I don't know what we would gain from taking him off U.S. soil and putting him in Guantanamo other than potentially delaying justice.
Well, one of the things that President Trump is also potentially taking aim at here is the way that this guy made it into the U.S. in the first place from Uzbekistan back in 2010, and he arrived here on the diversity immigrant visa, also known as the green card lottery. And the president making the case that anybody that comes into the U.S. should come here based on merit. Let's take a listen to what the president had to say earlier.
This man that came in, or whatever you want to call him, brought in with him other people. And he was the point of contact, the primary point of contact for, and this is preliminarily, 23 people that came in or potentially came in with him.
Well, that touches on 2 points. One, the merit-based, second, the chain immigration. Let's start with merit. Why is it unreasonable to demand that people that come to the U.S. make a valuable contribution? What is the argument for this very random green card lottery?
Right. So the program goes back originally to 1986, and then it was revamped in 1990, and Senator Schumer was one of the sponsors. The point, it was not controversial at the time. It had broad bipartisan support, and the feeling was that immigration should be spread among different countries, and it shouldn't just come from certain countries that tend to dominate who comes to the U.S. The president, going back to the State of the Union address in 2017, said he wanted to adopt a system that was more merit-based, like Canada has, like Australia has, where preference is given to people with certain credentials or with the ability to speak English. And so certainly this is going to give more push to that. Senator Schumer would say that he was part of the Gang of Eight that actually himself sought to eliminate, as part of a comprehensive reform package in immigration, sought to eliminate the diversity visa program as well.
Elliot, has this green card, well, diversity program worked anywhere else in the world? Is it applied anywhere else in the world? Has it had beneficial results elsewhere?
Yeah, other countries do have a more lax and more open immigration policy than the U.S. I'd say we're mid-range compared to other countries, but no one has ever said it. This proposal of merit-based came under attack. The fact is, no one has ever said that Canada or Australia are employing a racist immigration policy because they put some emphasis on merit.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Appreciate it, Elliot Felig.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, still ahead, the victims of terror, what we know about those people killed in yesterday's attack in Lower Manhattan. That's coming up.